Denver7 Sports NFL Draft Preview Special, sponsored by American Financing, starts right now. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Denver7 NFL Draft Preview Special. As we said, sponsored by American Financing. I'm Lionel Bienvenu, and oh boy, we're just one day away from the first round. This is going to be epic. It's going to be one of the most watched drafts in history because there's nothing else to watch in the sports world. There's going to be drama, intrigue, twists and turns, and lost Wi-Fi connections. It's going to be great. And we got it covered for you from top to bottom. Denver7 Broncos insider Troy Rank is in studio here. He's about 20 feet away. Hello, Troy.
Hello.
And sports anchor Nick Rothschild is live from his bachelor pad.
Okay.
Guys, are we ready to rock and roll here?
Let's do this.
Troy, it's a once-in-a-lifetime draft, isn't it?
Yes, this is a once-in-a-lifetime draft, Lionel. Social distancing has GMs, coaches, and scouts in their homes. Some have IT guys in Winnebagos in their driveway and countless TVs. John Elway, he has 9 TV and computer screens to be ready. I was told today Elway feels comfortable with the technology. He remains relaxed and confident.
It's kind of what flavor you like because it's a very deep draft when it comes down to receivers. And so I think that everybody obviously is going to have different views on what they think is the best fit for them. But obviously, there's a lot of good wideouts. And so, it's hard to say exactly how it's going to fall. But, I think that the good thing is, and the fortunate thing for us, as you said, we do need a wideout that, it's a deep class.
What about the Broncos executing a trade up in the draft from 15? They could go to Cleveland at 10. There's been some talks there. Or even the 49ers at 13, where Elway's had much success in trades with GM John Lynch. If they're trading up just to get a receiver, not one specific player, then it makes sense to move up and get the most value out of that position. But if they only have one player in mind, then maybe you take a tackle or even trade back.
We're preparing ourselves to go either direction. So kind of depending on how it falls, but we always look at the possibilities of possibly going up, and we'll continue to do that. But we're also looking at going back.
Okay, keep the kids off the Wi-Fi. Have an Ethernet cable ready. But yes, John Elway acknowledged earlier this week there could be some challenges with this virtual draft. None of the executives are in the same room together. But he said, hey, no excuses.
Being virtual, that may lead to less trades. I still think there's going to be trades. But if anything, I think it makes us prepare a little bit harder to have an idea at each position of where we are right now, whether we go up or back. Or, and not only in the first round, but second, third, and fourth round.
If the Broncos are able to find 2 to 3 starters in this draft, this for me is a playoff team. The Broncos made a key philosophical shift 2 years ago in the draft process, going with team captains and guys with proven production. No more showcase players or just athletes. This is not likely to change given the success of Bradley Chubb, Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, Dalton Reisner, and Drew Lock.
You go through tough years like we've been going through the last couple years, your locker room is very, very important. And the influences that you have in your locker room when things are tough, you need those guys to lead us through to lead that locker room through the tough times and to be able to get back through in the winning ways. And I think that we've suffered a little bit there. We haven't had that leadership in the locker room that has been able to dig us out of this hole. And so I think that's why we've concentrated more going on character guys.
Interesting fact here about the draft. This is Elway's 10th draft as the general manager. He's never selected an Alabama player in any round. That's just how the drafts have fallen, he said. That could change Thursday again with Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs high on the wish list, Lionel.
Oh, yeah. Sweet home Alabama. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. But the reality is we don't know what John Elway is going to do Thursday night. We do know what he did last year. All in on offense. In the first 3 rounds, at number 20 overall, round 1, they took tight end Noah Fant. He's a starter going into 2020. At pick number 41 in round 2, the man from Wiggins, Dalton Reisner. He's a starter. And then John turned right around, traded up, and picked Drew Lock at number 42 in round 2. He's a starter as well, a quarterback going into this season. So, 3 starters on offense with the first 3 picks last year. Now, Nick, draft night memories, man. Drew Lock waiting in the green room last year, not going in the first round. Dalton at his house, celebrating the call from John Elway and Wiggins. Look, those memories stick with a player for a lifetime, and you talk to some Broncos and former Broncos about what this night's all about.
Yeah, man, I think no matter if a player is going to get drafted, not going to get drafted, they're going to remember draft night. And actually getting drafted is probably the 8th most interesting thing that happens on draft night. And I have those stories to prove that.
Dalton Risner is a behemoth, but draft day brought out the nerves.
Anxiety, a ton of nerves, and excitement, a lot of unknown.
Dalton knew he'd be getting drafted. He just didn't know where.
You know, I looked at day 2 and I was like, I'd be surprised if the Broncos don't take me at 41.
With one minor caveat.
Unless Elway took my threat the wrong way. I think I had an interview where I said, if he doesn't pick me, I'll make him regret it. Something crazy.
You can't threaten John Elway. Well, the moment was there, pick 41, and Risner wasn't on the phone. His agent said that was probably a bad sign.
So I walk out of the room, hands in my head, frustrated as heck. Like, wow, the Broncos passed me with their second-round pick. And 2 seconds later, my agents came running out with the 303 phone call from John Elway. So
30 picks later, the Broncos selected Draymond Jones, which came as a surprise.
I mean, I was under the impression I was going to another team, honestly.
See, to put it kindly, there are a lot of verbal shenanigans surrounding the draft.
You don't know who really is interested. I mean, a team can say this, like, I'm not going to tell the team that told me this, but they said, like, if you're available right here, we're for sure going to take you, and that doesn't end up happening. So there's a lot of word of mouth type of things. I mean, you don't really know until you exactly know.
Straight up lying to players isn't new. Just ask Tyler Columbus.
Oh, man, I'll always remember my draft day experience. I remember the Seattle Seahawks. They called me in the 4th round, and they said, hey, congratulations, we're on the clock, we're selecting you. My whole family's throwing high fives around, celebrating, and lo and behold, that does not say Tyler Columbus on the screen.
That's not even the end of the story.
They told me that they were selecting me, so we're all celebrating, right? And I remember the name that they selected. It was Red Bryant. I'll never forget it. And then they called me in the 5th round, and they said, hey, so sorry, something popped up. I had to take Red. We got 2 more selections, though. Don't worry, we're going to select you. So my family, again, were like, all right, well, it wasn't the 4th round, but at least we're getting drafted here. Never happened. So it was a little bit brutal. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, thank you for not lying to us, Tyler. Same can't be said for these NFL teams. Things worked out all right for Columbus. He signed with the Broncos as an undrafted free agent, and at the end of an 8-year career, he won a Super Bowl.
If you get drafted in the 6th or 7th round, it's tough because you don't get to pick your team. But if you go free agent at that point, it's honestly better as long as you have options.
Yeah, that last part is super interesting to me. Like, if you get to the 6th or the 7th round, some of these guys are actually hoping they don't get drafted so they can pick where they'll end up as an undrafted free agent, like Tyler said, if they have options.
Yeah, what a great story. Nice work on that piece, Nick. Okay, guys, it's time for our first break, but we have so much more coming your way, including Troy's official mock draft, and it's a doozy. We'll find out who's coming to Dove Valley, according to our Broncos insider. Plus, prop bets on the draft. There are many, and they are fantastic. Nick will take a look at some of the best. Coming up next on our Denver7 NFL Draft Preview Special, sponsored by American Financing. Welcome back to our Denver7 NFL Draft Preview Special, sponsored by American Financing. And it's mock draft time. Boy, mock drafts, they're like opinions. Everybody's got one. Most of them are different. So we're back with Troy Rank and Nick Rothschild now, and let's get mocked. Troy, you put together the Denver7 mock draft. Let's do it.
Well, it starts easy. Bengals, first on the clock. They take Joe Burrow. No surprise here. Career year last year. Washington, Chase Young. I see him as a Julius Peppers type. Lionel, Dolphins, here's my first big move. They trade with the Lions. They take Tua Tagovailoa from Alabama. Yes, that's where he's going. Then this next one, Giants, they would love to trade back but they stay there. They take Tristan Wirfs from Iowa, the lineman, good fit. Lions now get the 5th pick from the Dolphins. They take the corner they wanted, Jeffrey Okudah from Ohio State. So that's a good position to be in so far at that. Now we look to the 6th spot. Chargers in the division. They say they love Tyrod Taylor. Nope, they're taking Justin Herbert. He could start this year. 7th, Panthers take Isaiah Simmons. Geez, he's either the best player, Lionel, or the most overrated. I love the guy, hybrid. Cardinals, they need to protect Kyler Murray. Jedrick Wills, the tackle at 8. Jaguars, dangerous team here. They're basically tanking. They take defensive tackle Javon Kinlaw. He tore it up at the Senior Bowl. And at number 10, the Broncos, yes, they have traded up with the Browns. They take Alabama wide receiver Jerry Jeudy. They just can't wait and hope. They go get their guy. He's the best receiver in the draft.
Yep, Jeudy has more polish to his game than Pledge, right, Troy?
Oh, absolutely. Look at this. He explodes out of cuts. He separates from man coverage. He has shown a high IQ in finding the weakness in zone coverage. Listen, I like Henry Ruggs. He's good. He's a better athlete. But you watch Jeudy here. At worst, he's Amari Cooper. That's a Pro Bowler. He's not Julio Jones, Lionel, but he is a guy who can make an impact from day one with his athleticism, high football IQ, and that quick burst you just saw getting in and out of cuts.
Man, over 2,400 yards, guys, and 24 touchdowns the last 2 years at Bama. My question is this. If you draft a receiver at number 10, doesn't that mean he's your number 1 guy? 10th overall pick? Yeah. What does that mean for Cortland Sutton? Will Jerry Jeudy be number 1? Does Cortland go to 2? Or does it even matter, Troy? Can there be co-number 1s?
It's co-number 1s. He's a running mate. You know, you've got a guy like Batman. Why not have Robin? When have we seen that? The Broncos have been good when they've had Ed McCaffrey and Rod Smith. You can do this. Again, I see him as a guy that could be an Amari Cooper as his floor. That's 1,000 yards, 1,107 touchdowns a year. Huge upgrade for the Broncos. It would also, Lionel and Nick, force teams to make tough decisions on doubling Sutton. We've seen that be an issue at times. It would also create space in the middle of the field for Noah Fant. Again, Henry Ruggs might be the answer at 13. I have him going with 10. Jerry Jeudy, to me, he is the clear number 1 receiver in this class.
Yeah, look, Troy, if you're trading up to 10, you're doing it. You're sending a lot of assets to the Browns, and you're doing it because you want a guy that can play right now, and that is Jerry Jeudy. You're not trading up for CeeDee Lamb. You're not trading up for Henry Ruggs. Jeudy, what sets him apart is his route running ability. He's not the best athlete in this draft, but he can put corners on their butts with his nasty routes, and he can drop into an NFL offense tomorrow and be a productive wide receiver.
So we're talking sweet home Alabama at Mile High for Jerry Jeudy. As we said, John Elway has never drafted a Crimson Tide player before. Why is that? Does John hate Nick Saban like everybody else? Ha! No, he said. Pure coincidence. Nothing more than that. All right, Troy, let's quickly get to the rest of your mock draft here in the top 15 picks.
Well, I have Ruggs going right after Jeudy at number 11. This is a guy that's going to help the Jets right away. Then you get to 12. CeeDee Lamb, I talked to a pro cornerback today. That would be his first choice because of the playmaking ability. Derek Brown, a run stuffer from Auburn up front. He's going to make sense at 13 for the 49ers. Mekhi Becton, the tackle, goes 14. And then Andrew Thomas, where the Broncos would have picked, goes 15 to the Browns.
Big lineman goes there where the Broncos would have picked. Yeah, you're right. All right, there you have it. You can check out picks 16 through 32, all of them. Troy's entire mock draft is on the denverchannel.com right now. All right, as we said, this could be one of the most heavily watched and heavily betted drafts in history. Nick, there are so many things for bettors to look at. It's hilarious.
Yes, I love me a good betting story. The draft is the closest thing we've had to a sporting event in months, so you better believe gamblers are going to make the most of it. And remember, sports betting is legal here in Colorado, but you can't place a bet until May 1st, so all of this is for entertainment purposes only. Let's get to the NFL prop bets. Here we go. These are my favorites. Number 1, will the number 1 overall pick cry? Joe Burrow? Joe Cool? I think not. Highest number of people in a room, well, that seems easy, right? Considering the social distancing rules. Got to be under 9.5. Number 3, the total number of cats shown in the first round. Half a cat. I'm taking the over there. And finally, will pizza be seen at the home of a draftee? Now, careful with the wording here. If it was any home, I'd say slam dunk, absolutely. but it's draftees' home, and we know the coaches are probably the ones most likely to be eating pizza on draft night. I've got one to add to the list here. Over under 1 bowl of pasta for our boy Vic Fangio during draft night, and I'm taking the over, baby.
Good one. I'm going to say we see at least 3 coaches and GMs beating on their keyboards and looking like deer in the headlights. This doesn't work. All right, let's see. Folks, we're going to get right to break right now and be right back on our NFL Draft Preview Special. We're talking Drew Lock right after this break. We're brought to you by American Financing. Welcome back to our Denver7 NFL Draft Preview Special, sponsored by American Financing. Now, last year, the Broncos moved up in the second round and took quarterback Drew Lock out of Missouri. He ended up starting the last 5 games as the Broncos went 4-1, and now all of Broncos country hopes that Drew Lock is the franchise QB for the next decade. Here is what John Elway said about Drew as we look forward to the 2020 season.
You know, obviously, by no means has Drew made it. We believe he's got the potential to do it, and I think we think he's just going to continue to get better and better. But he's still in the learning process, and know that he's going to have to get better. But we really liked what we saw. We liked what we saw last year when he was on IR, and how he tried to prepare himself and get ready to play when he had a chance to play, and then came in and played very well. Won 4 out of the last 5 games, and so we feel that he's that guy. We've decided that we're going to build around Drew, give him that opportunity to take the job.
So, guys, Nick and Troy, no quarterback talk in this draft, which is something else. Plan B behind Drew is Jeff Driscoll. So there is no plan B. Drew's got a new offensive coordinator, new scheme. He'll have a new receiver, and he can't even get together with any of them. Troy, you talked to Drew a couple of days ago.
Yeah, I texted with Drew about a couple of different things, like how is he dealing with his unusual off season? And he said he's been able to maintain a throwing program. And he told me, hey, listen, I'm not about to let people down. One thing about Drew Lock is he understands what it means to be not only an NFL quarterback, which is like being the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, but what it means to be the quarterback of the Broncos. You have to live it, breathe it. Lock is doing just that. That's why I believe he has a chance to be really good for them.
Look, there's no reason for a backup plan with Drew Lock. You've got him on the cheap for the next 3 years. And even if he's not the second coming of John Elway, if he's above average and he's cheap, you can win a Super Bowl with that. And as far as the offseason being different, Drew's already been creative and dedicated and improving. I don't see that changing now.
If he stays healthy, guys, that's the key to success. Stay healthy. All right, time for another break, but we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to our Denver7 NFL Draft Preview Special, sponsored by American Financing. And we're back with Broncos insider Troy Rank and sports anchor Nick Rothschild. And guys, let's talk local, shall we? The biggest Colorado name in the draft is receiver Laviska Shenault from the CU Buffs. Now, one mock draft on the NFL Network had the Broncos taking Viska at number 15 in round 1. That, we believe, is not going to happen. But Viska's doctor sent a letter to all 32 teams this week saying he's 100% healed from core surgery. And in the last few days, he's also posted videos of him running routes and catching footballs on social media. Troy, where do you see Laviska Shenault going in the draft?
Yeah, as you mentioned, he's recovered from that core muscle surgery. I see him being close to healthy, going at either the end of the first round of the Packers or maybe early in the second round. But I believe, again, somebody's going to get a special player in Laviska Shenault. Might not be his rookie year, but certainly in his second year.
Yeah, Troy, 2 teams are going to get steals out of the Buffs in this draft. Laviska in the second round, Davion Taylor going probably somewhere in the middle rounds. He's the perfect fit as a hybrid linebacker in the new age NFL. He just needs more snaps, more reps to hone his instincts.
And we'll keep an eye on Wyoming linebacker Justin Wilson as well, and Steven Montez from the Buffs too. All right, Nick, you have been hard at work, which is not unusual. You're going 360 on the Broncos draft.
Oh, so many degrees, so many perspectives. This year's draft, it's the perfect place to go 360. It's like an oasis of sports news in the desert created by this coronavirus. Everyone has an opinion, whether it's on the Broncos or the draft as a whole, and we're bringing you all sides.
Goodbye, bright lights and roaring fountains of Las Vegas. Hello, Zoom.
That's what would make this.
A lot of the people I talked to seemed fired up for this virtual draft.
It's like kind of how SNL did their thing on Saturday night. You kind of have to watch it just to see like what it looks like and, you know, how big is Keenan Thompson's trash can.
I can't wait to watch it. I've never been more excited about any sporting event.
I'm like, oh, give me sports, give me sports.
As for the draft itself, it's been a while since Broncos fans were this cautiously optimistic.
After Manning retired, I was like, we're going to be all right. And then we weren't. And then I was like, we'll be all right next year. And then we weren't again.
According to Broncos beat writer Nikki Jabvala, John Elway shared in the fans' frustrations.
John is frustrated too. I think people kind of overlook that part, like, oh, he's just going along. I mean, 6 different starting quarterbacks before you finally find Drew Lock. Yeah, that's frustrating.
Drew Lock changed that mentality.
I'm a little bit more excited to start the season with Drew Lock than a Joe Flacco or a Trevor Siemian or a Brock Lobster. So, yeah, I'm a little bit more excited this year.
The calling card of a 360 piece is multiple perspectives, and we got a bunch when it comes to who the Broncos should pick in the first round.
I would go after Andrew Thomas, the left tackle from Georgia.
Wide receiver Henry Ruggs from Alabama.
I don't want them to take a wide receiver in the first round because you know Laviska is going to be there in the second or the third. And if you don't have Laviska Shenault in a Broncos uniform by the time the draft is over, that is a massive, massive failure on your end.
Tristan Wirfs, and if you feel like you've got a really good one on the board, they should take it as opposed to waiting and kind of doing what they did in 2017 when they absolutely had to take one and they kind of reached for Garrett Bowles.
Whatever side you take in that debate, you can't argue this. Tomorrow, the eyes of sports fans will be on Roger Goodell's basement.
We're all, you know, watching people play horse in their driveway. Like we're fiending. We're really looking for something to bring us together and to sit down in front of our TVs and watch.
More perspectives, more laughs, hotter takes tonight at 10. You don't want to miss it.
Good stuff, my man. Can't wait to see all of that 360 on Denver 7 News at 10 tonight. All right, that's it. Troy, great work as always. Ditto, Nick. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for round 1 of the draft. The NFL Draft on ABC and Denver 7. Round 1 starts at 6, rounds 2 and 3 Friday at 5, rounds 4 through 7 Saturday at 10. Watch every second of it right here on Denver 7. And thank you so much for watching our NFL Draft Preview Special sponsored by American Financing. We'll see you at 10. Have a great night.